Good morning, Wellness Warriors. Happy Monday. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I'm here at work and I have some free time, so I just want to make a quick little video about May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. So, mental health matters, and there is a lot of stigma around it. A lot of people, when they feel bad, they do not go and get the help they need. So when we feel ill physically, when we break an arm or when we have the flu, we usually go to the doctor, right? And we get the help needed. But when there is something that's not right with our mental health, most people will not seek help. So if you're suffering from anxiety or depression, if maybe you are battling an eating disorder or OCD, or you know that something is wrong and you're not feeling yourself, but you will not go get help. Um, there are many things that we can be battling that therapy can help. But for whatever reason, we have the stigma that we do not need to go to therapy because the people that go to therapy are crazy. I don't know how many times I've heard that, especially with Latinos. They come into my office and the first thing they say is, no estoy loco. And so I laugh and I'm like, well, I'm glad you're not crazy because I wouldn't know what to do with crazy. And they laugh and I'm like, plus we don't use that word. But people who go to therapy are people who are high functioning, who just need help and support. So that can be anybody. And when you're going to see a therapist, you're not going so they tell you what to do. You're not going because you need to be fixed. You're going because you have problems like everybody else and you want to address them. People that go to therapy are not people who have problems. They're people who want to solve their problems and are looking for support because everybody has problems. It's just a matter of how are you going to deal with them. And many people just cope by avoiding their problems. They ignore them and they make them go away in their mind. And they use certain coping mechanisms like drinking, substance abuse, um, overeating, binge eating, engaging in toxic codependent relationships, and just being very toxic themselves, unfortunately, and maybe sometimes even just being toxic with their own family, and that is how they're dealing and coping with all the issues they're going through themselves. So a lot of people think that if they just ignore something, it's gonna go away, but it won't. Everything and anything that you ignore and you bottle up inside, it's going to come out, and it usually comes out as an explosion. Think of it like the little tea, where you the little teapot, and you leave it on the stove and it's heating the water, but if it takes too long it starts making this noise like and then all this like fume starts coming out and it starts to shake. That is exactly what happens to us when we avoid our problems and we don't actually address them. And sooner or later those emotions come out, and they come out in very ugly ways. I'm a big believer that you cannot heal what you cannot feel. So it is important to embark on the journey of healing in order to have a better life. And by better, I mean a more wellness, um, a more wellness journey, a a life worth of living, a life with joy, a life that you truly deserve. And I speak not just as a therapist, but I speak also as someone who has battled mental illness. I have suffered from depression. I have suffered from anxiety. I have PMDD. Look it up if you don't know what it means. It's a real thing. PMDD is the worst. It changed my life, and I had it postpartum. I had never had it in my life. I gave birth to my child, and 8 months later, when my cycle returned, I got PMDD. It took me about 2, 3 months to figure it out, and it is hell for 2 weeks out of the month. And so I've had to get help. I've had to seek help. And there should not be a stigma on people who go to therapy, who go to a psychiatrist, who need to be on medication because they are doing whatever they need to do in order to have a better life, in order to stay alive. A lot of people would not be alive if it wasn't for their medication. And it makes me sad to see when people are always pill shaming others, um, when they have no idea what that person has gone through, and if they wouldn't be on that medication, they would be dead, or they would be completely unfunctional or dysfunctional. Dysfunctional means you function in pain. So they would be dysfunctional because they would be functioning in pain. And nobody deserves to be functioning in pain. So I guess what I'm trying to say is there is no stigma. There shouldn't be any stigma. It exists, but we need to end the stigma. There is no shame in going to therapy. There is no shame to saying I need help. There is no shame to saying I can't do this alone. Because you know what? None of us can do it alone. It's just that we're all using different things. And it's important to know when you're struggling. I believe that everybody in their life, one time or another, there's a point where they should go to therapy and they should seek help. There's a point in their lives where they might need that help because life is hard and we all go through really strong and very, very painful battles, some more than others. But it's important to know that you are not alone, that there is help out there, that therapy is a great way to be able to overcome a moment in your life that is painful or just hard. If you go to a therapist and they suck, please don't give up. Find another one. It literally took me 6 therapists to find my therapist. Please do not give up. I know how hard it can be to be in a journey where you think you're alone, to be in a journey where to come from a family where even therapy is not something you need to talk about. Like, we don't talk about those things. We do not need to go there. We don't have to talk about our feelings. It's all these taboos that we keep passing on to our children, and we're just making it worse. So unless you break the cycle, your children will repeat it. Think about that. And if you don't have children and you're like, I don't have children, well, think of yourself too, please, because you deserve a life worth living. So if you know you're struggling with something, if you feel it in your heart, if you know you're going through depression, if you know you're going through anxiety, if you know you're going through just maybe a rough time and you just don't know what's going on. Ladies, if you have a baby and you're suffering from postpartum depression, anxiety, whatever, please go and seek help. The rise of suicide in women after bearing a child is skyrocketing because moms are not getting help, and there's very little help. So you have to be very proactive. But please find a therapist. Please go out and seek help. Please put yourself first. You are worthy of healing, and you are worthy of having a better life, and you're worthy of not having to be functioning in pain. Thank you for watching. Remember that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Please spread it. End the stigma. We can do this together. Let's have the tough conversations so we can have a better world. Bye. Thank you for watching.